The Calgary Flames remain one of the very best home teams in the entire National Hockey League, and that is no exaggeration. They improved to 22, 12, and 5 at the Scotiabank Saddledome this year, including, and correct me if I'm wrong, 7-0-1 since the trade deadline. And they beat the Utah Mammoth tonight by a 4-1 final score at the Scotiabank Saddledome. Mike Gould and Kent Wilson with you on today's edition of the Afterburner, a presentation of Bet365. Hockey fans, check out Bet365's 3-goal early payout. When your team goes up 3, as the Calgary Flames did tonight, you get paid. It's that simple. Download the app today. It must be 18 plus. Please play responsibly. And while you're along with us, join in with the Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat go to the Youth Centers of Calgary. It is a place where kids are welcomed and accepted as they are, a place where they can get a break from the chronic stress that is the reality for many of their lives, and where they can flourish through connections and fun. Kent, the Calgary Flames just wrapped up a 6-game road trip yesterday. They traveled from Seattle to get to Calgary, and of course, so did Utah. Utah traveled from Salt Lake City here to Calgary as well for today, just after playing Carolina yesterday. And you wouldn't be able to tell that the Flames had just embarked on that long road swing, because they were by far the better of the two teams here on this Sunday evening. Part of it is because Utah looked horrible, and that is not exaggerating either. But the Flames, they came out on the right foot. They sort of took it to the Mammoth right from the opening puck drop, and they win this one in convincing fashion.
You know, I think you could tell by the middle of the third period, because the game kind of descended into beer league shitty hockey for both teams. Both looked pretty done with the game and exhausted at that point. But yeah, aside from that, the Flames were by far the more dominant team.
Now, we have to lead with this off the hop, because social media is already littered with discussion about what this game means for the Flames draft positioning. And let's just sort of check in on it from the reverse standings. The Flames move into a tie with the New York Rangers for 29th place in the NHL. Again, into a tie. They both have 75 points in 80 games. Even one more point from the Rangers will push them ahead of the Flames. I mean, it's just the way that it works. Flames do have the tiebreaker based on regulation wins. They have 26. The Rangers have 24. So as it stands, the Rangers are in 30th, the Flames in 29th. But as it stands, even one more win from the Toronto Maple Leafs and one more point from the Seattle Kraken will put the Flames into a virtual guarantee, not a virtual guarantee, an actual guarantee to enter the draft with no lower than the 4th best draft lottery odds. Seeing a lot of folks with the doom and gloom saying, oh, these wins, that means the Flames will pick 7th and 8th. Again, virtually impossible with the way that they are currently sitting. At the very worst, if they do finish in 29th, they will draft 6th. And the odds are that they will not. The odds are 80% that they will draft in the top 5 if they pick, or if they enter the draft in 29th place. So again, that is 80% that they will pick in the top 5, and about 35% that they will pick in the top 3, I believe. So, you know, it's a win. People are going to be upset. Can't they ever do anything right, says Kim in the chat. But but again, I think a lot of tonight has to do with just Utah being an absolute train wreck, because that's exactly what they were.
And the NHL finally giving the Flames 2 goals that probably should have been called back. Just 3 ridiculous tallies tonight of the 4 for the Flames.
We'll get it right into it right now. We'll talk about the Flames' big victory. Honestly, I would say that 3 of the goals tonight were just gimmies. And the first one, Matt Coronato getting his 18th of the season. Morgan Frost and Braden Pahal credited with the assists on this one, but really you should give one of them to Vitek Vanacek for the Utah Mammoth, as the puck behind the net. Coronato swings it right in. And technically they're saying that nobody on Utah touched it. So Frost and Pahal do get the helpers.
If they say so.
And Braden Pahal, how about this? That is point number 1 of the night for Braden Pahal. And for a guy who entered this game with all of 4 points on the season, I mean, surely that'd be it for him tonight, right, Kent?
Not quite.
Not quite. Well, goal number 2, Connor Zary getting credit for this one a little over a minute later. Zane Parekh and Zach Whitecloud getting the assist. Parekh throws it on goal, bounces right in front. Zary gets it. It hits him on the leg, bounces down to his right skate, and it goes in. And a lot of discussion from folks about whether this one should have counted. Apparently, the official justification for why it did count was that while it bounced off the skate, they slowed it down and saw that the kick primarily occurred after it hit the skate. It was, they really looked at it in slow motion, I guess. That was what France.
Absolutely not.
Ken,
Absolutely
you don't
not.
agree. You don't agree.
It's ridiculous. I mean, that's the most kicked-in goal I've ever seen. Good for Zeri, but it hinged in the leg. He kicked it in. I wish they do that in the playoffs when the goals matter, but Zeri will take one.
Yeah, Blake Coleman would sure love to get an explanation for why his goal against the Oilers in the playoffs all those years ago didn't count, and that one did.
Yeah.
But hey, Zane Parekh picking up another point, and we should talk a little bit about Zane Parekh because number 19 for the Calgary Flames ends up leading the Flames in ice time tonight with 23:49, an even rating as I think he was on the ice for the last goal at the end, but 4 shots on goal, leading all Flames defensemen. In fact, Flames defensemen only had 5 shots total tonight, and Parekh had 4 of them. The other one went in.
Well, it went in. Yeah,
we'll talk about that later. 2 block shots for Zane. He was really, really good for the Flames tonight.
Yeah, he's starting to get pretty noticeable in a good way, because when he started the year, it was the other way, right? You could see 1 or 2 shifts where what he was capable of, and then the rest of the night was kind of a heart attack. But it's kind of swung the other way. He's certainly not perfect yet. No player is, but much more good than bad these days with Parekh.
That's why it's so important to have 2 picks in the first round. Hey, Kent, Zane Parekh and Matt Vegridden. We've seen so much positive from Matt Vegridden lately, and obviously he did not play tonight. He was sick, so he sits out for the Flames. And Parekh, the spotlight moves to him again, and he's been improving with every game, and so is Gridden. And so having those 2 guys going forward, you're like, oh, that's something pretty nice for this Calgary Flames team. Then we continue onward. We saw no goals in the second period, and we got 3 more in the third. And the first one, Michael Backlund getting credit for this one at 6:01 of period number 3, rather. It was off a face-off in the Flames' defensive zone. The puck flipped out by Braden Pahal to spring Blake Coleman on a breakaway. They say he gets taken down. I forget who it was who was chasing him. I think it might have been Sean Dursey. And he ends up crashing into Vanacek, and then
takes
Backlund,
him out of the net completely.
Yeah, and Backlund then just pokes it in. And I honestly wasn't even sure if they were going to give Coleman credit, because it kind of looked like as Backlund put it in, it might have gone off of Coleman. He was laying in the net.
In the net.
So it's hard to say, who got the last touch on it. They give it to Backlund, with Coleman getting a well-earned and painful assist as his head crashed right off the goalpost.
Yeah.
But yeah, another one where I'm shocked it counted.
As you say, they're kind of blaming the defenseman for pushing him in, but it was, I don't know, he just kind of seemed to lose his edge to me, and and momentum carried him into the goaltender. But yeah, if it was the playoffs, they're not going to count it, but I guess we'll take it in the non-season that this is at this point.
And yeah, from there, the Flames keep going. Shortly thereafter, at the 9:10 mark of period number 3, it is Braden Pahal himself who has spent more time off the ice than on it this year, with the Flames rotating in a crop of young defensemen. But Pahal gets back in with Yan Kuznetsov being day-to-day with an injury, and he ended up playing quite a bit tonight, and he scored his first goal of the season. A 3-point night for number 94, who entered the game with 4 points all year.
Almost doubled it.
Tonight he plays 14:47, ends up +2, goal and 2 assists. He is named the game's first star. A feel-good night for the Estevan product, who has been a good pro for the Flames, but just has sort of had to step aside at various points this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's playing a position crowded with kids that they want to get some ice time for. So it's been a tough season for him, but I've always had time for Pahal when they've picked him up, and anytime he gets in the lineup, he's pretty solid, and I'm hoping he gets a better opportunity probably somewhere else here in the near future.
Yeah, Pahal, 1 year left on his deal after this season, as does Joel Hanley. So Yeah, that's a look at all the Flames goals. And the Mammoth do get one back. Lawson Krause having another good year. He sort of had a rough year last year, but this is fourth 20-goal year in his last 5, and this is number 23 of the season as he rips one past Dustin Wolf, posting in. Keller and Weegar getting the assists for Utah. Speaking of Mackenzie Weegar, his first game back in Calgary with the Mammoth. And get this, Kent, he was -1 earlier in the game. He ends up being one of only 2 Mammoth defensemen who end the game as even. Him and Sergachev both end up as zeros in the plus-minus category. Simashev, Cole, Dursey, and Schmidt all on the minus side. So there we go. Mackenzie Weegar, who got a nice little ovation from Flames fans, coming back into the Saddledome for the first time since the trade.
Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't a fan of the green jacket chase that he was on. So yeah, I'm no doubt he did not want to be a minus tonight.
Mac Weegar, since the deal, now has 5 points in 17 games, a goal and 4 assists. You know who doesn't have 5 points in his last 17 games and who has quite a few more and got another assist tonight, Kent?
It's not Ole Maatta, is it?
It is Ole Maatta, who now has 14 points in 19 games with the Flames.
Does he have the most points of any trade deadline acquisition at this point?
He's got to be up there. It has been one of the most improbable runs. I mean, it's up there. I'm just trying to think of like Flames deadline acquisitions who have had better first impressions than Maatta, even in years where they've been trying to win. Like you kind of have to go back to like when they brought Craig Conroy back from the Kings, but like, like this is really something, Ken.
I'm sure he can't believe it either. Even in his career, he hasn't been a point-producing defenseman like ever. And then playing on this team with kind of a ragtag bunch, and they're injured and they're rebuilding, and he gets a point almost every game now. He must be like, all right, I'll take it.
It is one of the strangest turns of events, but the Flames certainly not complaining. They have him under contract for the next 2 years at $3.5 million. And they certainly need veterans on the blue line because tonight, 4 rookies, or was it 4? I guess 3. But last game it was 4 for the Calgary Flames in Seattle. Tonight, there's 6 defensemen in the lineup, sorted in order of NHL experience. You've got Maatta at the top, followed by Zach Whitecloud, followed by Braden Pahal, followed by Perek, then Bristevich, then Abram Wiebe. So certainly an interesting hierarchy forming on the blue line for the Flames.
They still beat the tar out of Utah. That's embarrassing.
They really did. Abram Wiebe only played 744 tonight. Didn't see a ton from number 52 in his second NHL game. I mean, home ice, they have more control over the matchups, I suppose. Just giving him a bit of an easier ride. Some other interesting stats to pop out on the blue line tonight. Hunter Bristevich, 20 minutes, 7 seconds with 6 blocked shots. Kent, what was your old tweet about blocked shots?
You know what? Let's give him the block shots. Good for him. I'm not gonna crap on block shots because I actually have a lot of time for the way he's playing these days. It's just clean, smart hockey. He doesn't stand well. He certainly stood out in his goal the other night, but he's just incrementally getting better all the time, and he looks like a legit NHLer now.
He does. He really does. I'll spare folks. Just go to Kent Wilson's Twitter page. I think it's still his pinned tweet. Is it? It probably is.
I don't think it is.
No, taking it down. That was the all-timer. Hunter Bristevich, I mean, such a savvy young player. I mean, I am, we see Abram Wiebe in his first couple NHL games right now, and he's chasing it a little bit, and he hasn't gotten a whole lot of ice time. And he's older than Hunter Bristevich. He is 22.
That's right.
And, played years in college, 3 years in college. And Hunter Bristevich was a first-year pro last year who had 32 points in 70 games with the Calgary Wranglers. And I feel like people underrate that because he had 92 points in the OHL the previous year. So, he comes into pro, has 32 points in the A, and that's, maybe underwhelming to some. But then you look at Rasmus Anderson, who had 22 points in his first American Hockey League season after not being as big of a producer in the OHL either. And Rasmus, of course, has gone on to put together a very, very good career for himself. And yeah, I see a lot of Rasmus in the way that Brstevich plays. They're similar bodies. Brstevich is not a big guy, but he's got good weight. Like he's sturdy.
He's solid,
And
yeah.
I'm just a huge fan of the way he plays. I think it's a perfect complement to having Parekh on another pair, and the way that you can see Parekh dancing around right now.
Yeah,
I mean, tonight was a great showcase for what those two guys can do.
absolutely. And the thing with him last year was the 32 points doesn't sound impressive until you know that he was fighting it like as a
Early,
new pro
yeah,
early. Yeah, he looked a little bit overwhelmed, and then he looked better, and then he looked comfortable, and then by the end of the year, he's one of the best players on the Wranglers. So
yeah,
that's what you want to see out of guys that age. It's that rapid progression, and it kind of started this year too when he got up to the NHL. You're like, ooh, he's
yeah.
fighting it a little bit, and now he looks not just comfortable but like a legit NHLer. So I'm pretty excited by his development.
And you know what's interesting is that a lot of times we will see a veteran paired with a rookie defenseman so that the rookie can go and have these big rushes and go for a skate. And something that just popped into my mind just now, but that has sort of been, I guess, under the radar or on the radar rather for me, and that is just sort of crystallized is that what we've seen over the last few games is Brstevich paired with Maatta. And Mata's been the one going on these crazy rushes up the ice.
Well, they had that exchange in the offensive zone today where
Yeah,
Brstevich found him breaking in, and Maatta did a little dance and
yeah.
almost beat the
Almost scored,
goalie and
drew a
scores.
penalty.
Like, is Eric Carlson secretly Oli Maatta?
Yeah.
It's very strange.
I I don't think it's a coincidence that Mata's playing so well on a pairing with Hunter Brstevich. And I
Yeah,
think the
that is a good
Flames,
pairing right now.
yeah, it's been great. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, very exciting times for the Flames on the defensive side of things. And we'll just see. Maybe they'll end up adding another defensive prospect to one of those or to that group at this upcoming draft. We'll see exactly
Yeah.
how it all shakes out. Of course, the Flames are overdue for a little bit of draft lottery luck. The Utah Mammoth got some last year. They moved up from 14-4 to draft Caleb Desnoyers at number 4, only in their second year of existence, proving that that things can be cruel in the NHL.
Well, the Islanders bounced up to number 1 too, right?
They did, and now they've bounced back down out of a playoff spot. We saw that today. Islanders eliminated from playoff contention, Kent. Only 3 teams now vying for that last spot in the East: Philadelphia, Washington, and Columbus. Detroit is out. Islanders are out. Devils are out. Florida is out. I mean, the 6 teams that are out of the running in the East officially now are 6 teams that if you would put a poll out at the start of the year, a lot of people would have picked them to make it.
Absolutely.
Detroit, the Islanders, the Devils, the Panthers, the Leafs, and the Rangers.
Yeah. But
Like,
maybe not the Islanders, but
maybe not,
everyone else.
but then a month in, you would have said the Islanders.
Yeah,
right?
and
With how
Schaefer is a
was playing.
phenom, but
Exactly.
they definitely have other problems with that roster. They're not quite there yet.
Well, and I mean, I was saying this with Bobby on the last show, is that, Bobby and I were discussing which year is more of a lost year for the Flames, this year or last year. And we both agreed on last year, obviously.
Last year.
But by the same token, Bobby and I were sort of talking about how the Flames have played it relatively conservatively. They have made the buy moves that they've made have been relatively modest, and the sell moves they've made have been quite smart. And the buy move that they made last year was to move a second for Farabee and Frost, both of whom you could probably trade for, as much or more than they gave up to get both of them.
Absolutely.
Whereas I look at 2 of the teams that are now sitting with 91 points in the East with a big E beside them. And can you imagine if the Flames had gone down the route that the Islanders and the Red Wings have last year, and gone out and given up firsts for Braden Shen and Justin Falk? Oof.
Yeah, that disaster.
Oh my gosh. So it can always be worse. And as we are seeing with the Flames right now, the odds, while not overwhelmingly in their favor, they are still decent, quite solid. And I do also think that while I expect the Flames to score more next year, I expect to see a little bit of offensive regression from some of their younger players, or offensive progression, I should say. I also expect them to be a little spottier overall. And I don't think this is going to be the last year that the Flames will be in this position in the draft.
No, I think we're a couple of years of this still, to tell you the truth.
Kent, Matt Coronato got his 100th NHL point with the opening goal in this game. The Flames did post a picture. I think Yasmin has got it, of Coronato in the room after the game, celebrating with the two guys who set up the goal. That's Morgan Frost. And wait a minute, that's not Braden Ball.
It is not.
That's Jonathan Huberdeau. I don't know what that's all about. But Matty Coronato, 100 points in his NHL career. A guy who I think was playing not great earlier in the season, kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
But I think has had an excellent last 6 weeks.
He's definitely turned it around, and he's now leading the team in scoring, which is not, I mean, it's a low bar right now. I think he's got 44 points or something, but good on him. He really did turn it around up until probably mid-November. It was looking like a pretty ugly season for Matt Coronato. And there's been a couple other sort of dry spells intermixed, but you're right. He's kind of turned it around with more opportunity here in the last sort of quarter. And yeah, he's looking like the player that they signed to that big contract last year now.
Pike is in our chat saying that Kent's flow is in mid-season form. Kent, we are at game 80. How good does it feel to be at this point now, finally, almost at the end?
Starting to look forward to the draft, I'll tell you that.
Oh, me too. Me too. You know who else I bet is looking forward to the draft is our friend Derek Newman. If you are buying or selling a house, condo, townhome, or duplex in Calgary, use the Derek Newman Group. That is DERRICK. With over $100 million in real estate sold, 65 plus 5-star Google reviews. Derek is connected to the city. He volunteers in the community. He is a huge Flames fan who is eternally optimistic. And you can visit his new website at dereknewmangroup.com or call him at 403-619-6661. Folks, get in your super chats. Lots of opportunities to get on the show. They benefit the Youth Centers of Calgary. We're still going to go for a little while longer. 6 games on the docket in the NHL this evening, Kent. And a couple of them had major ramifications for the Calgary Flames. One that went final midway through the Flames-Utah game. The Vancouver Canucks, on a goal by Marco Rossi in overtime, get a 4-3 win over the Anaheim Ducks. So the Ducks move up to 90 points on the season in 80 games. And it is officially guaranteed, by the way, that the top-ranked team in the Pacific will have fewer points than the Flames did last year when they missed the playoffs. Vegas at 91, Edmonton at 90, Anaheim at 90. The Ducks could have clinched tonight, but they didn't. It's going to be an interesting road ahead here, not just for the Flames, but for those two teams as well. And, of course, as we know, if Vegas wins the division, that automatically means their first-round pick will be no higher than 26 for the Calgary Flames. So that's not what you want to hear.
Yeah, the rest of the West is kind of screwed the Flames when it comes to that this year. I mean, Vegas has not been great for quite a while now, but it's would it BX could call it a pillow fight in the West? It's pretty ugly. Yeah.
So let's look at the remaining games for Anaheim, Vegas, and Edmonton, because and even LA we can throw in there as well, because the Kings actually still have a shot at winning the Pacific Division. And it's not an odd. They have 87 points in 79 games, and they've won 4 straight. So they are technically still in the mix. Vegas is remaining games against Seattle and Winnipeg. So go those teams, I guess.
Yeah.
Edmonton has a game against Vancouver coming up. That's good. They're also playing against the Avalanche. And then the Anaheim Ducks, their remaining 2 games against Nashville and Minnesota. So, the Flames don't want Vegas to win the division. And Vegas, I mean, Edmonton does have the tiebreakers on Vegas. Edmonton has the tiebreakers on Vegas. And I will say, would not be opposed to Edmonton having to go through a couple of different teams as opposed to Anaheim or LA. But
win-win.
Still, it's I mean, it would end the Oilers' long streak of never winning their division. Did you know this, Kent? Do you know when the last time is that the Oilers won their division?
Early 90s?
1987. They have not won
My
their division.
God.
Yeah, they have not won their division in nearly 40 years. So that would be kind of wild if they did end up taking the Pacific finally this season. So crazy things out in the playoff race. And only a couple matchups have really truly been crystallized at this point. Dallas against Minnesota, we are guaranteed to see. Utah has not locked down the wild card 1 spot yet, especially after their loss tonight. There is still a chance they could fall down to wild card 2 and place Colorado in round 1, which with the way they played tonight would be kind of a tough matchup for them.
Nobody wants that.
No kidding. Out east, the Metro is all but locked up as far as Pittsburgh against Philadelphia in round 1. Washington and Columbus, their odds of making that spot are not so great. At this point, Philadelphia's got a game in hand on both of them, and they're already a point up on Washington, 2 up on Columbus. And then the Atlantic is all over the place. Buffalo at 106, Montreal at 106, Tampa at 104. It could go any which way in the Atlantic division. So
that's crazy.
Indeed it is. So there we go. A look at the out of town. As far as the Flames road ahead, Kent, well, it's not very long. And we'll tell you about it thanks to our friends at the Prairie Toyota dealers. If you're looking to dominate off the ice as much as your team does on it, check out the Toyota Tacoma. Its standard I-Force engine boasts an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds. In fact, it is the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer during Red Tag days from March through May. Kent, will all be finished on Thursday. It will all be done on Thursday this week. 2 more games on the schedule for the Calgary Flames. Coming up next, Colorado on Tuesday, followed by the Kings on Thursday.
Wonder how important that game is going to be for the Kings.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I mean,
it could be a big one.
Well, you might be looking to avoid Colorado. I mean, that's what they might be playing for at that point. I mean, if you look at the Mammoth schedule coming up, they've got 2 games left as well. They are playing against Winnipeg and St. Louis. So, I mean, Winnipeg technically still in the playoff race, so that they're not going to be they're not going to be easing up anything on Tuesday. No. So yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible that Utah could fall down below LA. So that game between the Kings and the Flames on the 16th is going to be tough. And of course, the Avalanche, they've already dummied the Flames twice this season.
Yeah, they're probably the best team in the league. So
yeah, I don't know if I would be like, again, I'm seeing a lot of folks throwing in the towel on finishing 30th and what have you. Rangers rode ahead against Florida and Tampa. I mean, if the Rangers get even a point against the Panthers tomorrow, I start to feel a lot more comfortable about the Flames possibly finishing 30th again. I mean, if they win against the Panthers tomorrow, then you're starting to feel really good about the Flames maybe finishing 30th. The Panthers have been so bad of late. So
they're trying. I mean, that's an unethical take over there.
Oh my gosh,
they're trying to lose.
Well, yeah, with the Panthers, I mean, I think they're trying to lose so they can get a better draft pick so they can trade it.
Maybe.
I almost wonder about that. I think this year more than others, we might see a lot more movement in the top 10 with just different teams being in the mix, teams that we aren't accustomed to. I mean, I said earlier, of those 6 teams that have already been eliminated in the East, how many did you expect to be there? How many have legitimate championship aspirations next year, or at least think they do? How many of those teams will be more willing than most to sling around a first-round pick compared to what we've seen from more conservative teams in the past, like Buffalo and Utah and teams that have been more
actively rebuilding, right? Rebuilding, you're not moving first or anything really. So, but if you're not, if you think you're in a contention window, then you can think about it. I mean, the return's it's going to have to be good for sure, but possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wonder about that. It's very interesting. One thing that kind of bugs me is that Chicago was eligible to be in this draft lottery at all because they've won 2 of the last 5 draft lotteries. And technically by the letter of the law, that means that you shouldn't be allowed to win another one. But because they apparently didn't move up when they won one of them, that means that they are still able to win another.
The fix is in.
Just BS. But anyway, that's a look at your out of town and your road ahead from the Prairie Toyota dealers. What else do we have to talk about? Idar Suniev, Kent, he had an assist tonight, his first NHL point. He set up Braden Bahal's goal in the third period. Prior to that, I didn't think he looked great. But after that, he did have a couple of good looks. Shot that hit the crossbar behind Vitek Vanacek. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know if I think Suniev is ready just yet, but I think he's getting closer and closer. And I do think he is a guy who could push for more NHL call-ups next season.
He definitely has the shot. His skating isn't quite there. You're right. He did have a little bit of pep in his step after getting that point. It was also garbage time, shitty hockey at that point. So, I mean, it's part of the reason you play kids at this point of the year as a rebuilding team. You let them get their legs, get some confidence in hockey that isn't quite as competitive. I think he's going to have to do more at the AHL level next year. Like he will have to start to dominate a little bit more. He came on as the season went on in the AHL, but still, pretty middle of the road numbers. So he's going to have to become, a team leader to really get more looks, I think, especially because things are going to start getting crowded in the pipeline here pretty soon.
Yeah, I think Suniev will start with the Wranglers next year. I think he'll be part of a big crop of guys who are all battling to stand out. But I do think he'll obviously have the upper hand or the inside track just with his experience already at the pro ranks. 15 goals in 55 games with the Wranglers this season. And
how many assists?
8. and a minus 26, which the Wranglers are really bad. But still, Suniev had the worst underlyings on the Flames tonight, but it is what it is. It's game.
He's not there, but good for him though.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, they have Castagna coming in to play for the Wranglers next year. They have Andrew Basha coming back in. They'll have potentially some other guys. Othman will re-sign. It'll be interesting to see just exactly where he'll slot in, but my expectation is probably on the top line with the inside track on additional recalls going forward. Let's get into some of the super chats. I don't think we're going to go super duper long tonight, but we do have one coming in from Nortalo 3329. My first of many super chats to come. Which draft do you guys think is deeper this year or next year's? Also, love this. Look at this. Also, if you're ever deep South Calgary in Legacy, free donaire / shawarma from Diegla. I think I'm saying that right. Love the show, guys. Thanks.
That's awesome.
$27.99 super chat for the USNS of Calgary. That is fantastic.
That might be the best I've had all year for a super chat. So nice.
Free donaire and shawarma. That rocks. Nortalo, hit me up. I'll put your number in. I'll send you a text. That is super sweet. What draft do you guys think is deeper this year or next year? I mean, the problem with looking at drafts, a year out is that you look at the guys exactly. You look at the guys who are at the top of the list for this year, and last year, for example, heading into this year, Caleb Malhotra would not have been in anybody's first round list.
Maybe later.
No,
I
don't think so. Not before this year. Like if we're coming into this year,
fair enough.
BCHL, 6'2", 182-pound center, sure, but came into the OHL with Brantford this year and has exploded. Gone from 26 points in the BC League last year to 84 points this year in the OHL. Now,
and he's murdering the playoffs too.
Murdering the playoffs, has 8 goals in 7 games. Now he's playing on a very good Brantford team that is loaded with NHL prospects. I mean, Jake O'Brien is a top 10 pick. Marek Vanacker is a Hawks pick. Benak is a Wild pick. Adam Jiricek is a first round pick. Jet Lachenko is a first round pick. Like they've had a ton of guys.
They're stacked.
So that's I'm not as high on Malhotra as most, but even so, these guys come out of relative obscurity sometimes. And to the same point, the guys who we think are going to be top end players often don't stay that
drop
way.
off. Yeah.
They drop off. I mean, I remember one example for the Hitmen a couple of years ago was Reese Hamilton, a defenseman who had 31 points in 42 games as a 16-year-old and ended up not even being drafted, after looking like a future first rounder. So, it's hard to say. There's some guys at the top of the draft like DuPont and Alexis Joseph in the QMJHL and a few others who look like they're, prospects, but it's so impossible to point anything,
I'll just say for this draft, it doesn't strike me as very deep, especially on the forward side of things. It falls off pretty quickly in the first round. And not to say there aren't going to be some gems that emerge, but we're starting to hear Caleb Maholtra being considered like a top 5 or top 3 pick even. And even given the season he's had and the postseason he's had, there's a lot of other drafts where you'd see a player like that go 15.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this year is a weird year. McKenna and Stenberg, 2 sort of undersized or average-sized wingers at the very top. You don't see that too often.
No.
It could be a weird one. And so
lots of good defensemen, so that's going to be the interesting factor, right?
Yep. So, but great super chat and keep coming. Looking forward to seeing that name more in the chat going forward. What else do we have to talk about tonight? I mean, the Flames, they win the game. We do want to talk a little bit about what happened in the college sphere today. Some big stuff happening as far as, procedural things now that the Frozen Four is over, as it pertains to transfers and the like and commitments. We are now starting to see some changes coming out. This is sort of the time of year where it all sort of begins. And a big one from Scott Wheeler at The Athletic, a big report coming out today about Cullen Potter, the Flames' first-round pick, 32nd overall last year. Cullen Potter will, in all likelihood, be leaving Arizona State. After 2 years with the Sun Devils, he had 26 points in 24 games this year before sustaining a season-ending injury. Would, in all likelihood, have signed an entry-level deal with the club had he not gotten hurt after his second year of college. But now, in need of a step forward and also in need of an additional challenge before he turns pro, he will be transferring in all likelihood to Michigan State, a program where he will be able to play potentially with guys like Riker Lee, who was a first-round pick of the Nashville Predators last year, Mason West, who was a first-round pick of the Chicago Blackhawks, who was also a football player, Caden Lindstrom potentially as he returns and tries to build upon a disappointing first year in college. A number of guys at Michigan or at Michigan State, yeah. Whereas at ASU, their recruiting class was not quite as strong. He was going to be a centerpiece, but a program that has not graduated a ton of NHLers. So interesting to see Cullen Potter in the news today in that front.
Well, even when you saw highlights of him this year, he started a little slow, but you'd see him make all sorts of plays and then a puck die on a line mate stick or something. He's kind of a one-man team, it seemed like there. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in a better program with a better supporting cast for sure.
Cullen Potter, if you had forgotten, part of the Tkachuk trade. He was the first-round pick the Flames got back from Florida for Matthew Tkachuk. So good to see him perhaps being able to level up with Michigan State going forward. Folks, as we get into the last sort of week of the season, it's obviously going to be draft lottery season going forward here before too long, but also it's baseball season. And boy, oh boy, the Blue Jays, who knows what they are? They're getting injuries, so many injuries. I mean, it's just been a horrible start to the year for Toronto on the baseball side of things. But if you want to commiserate or if you want to be hopelessly optimistic that things will turn around, head on over to the Unicorn over on 8th Ave Southwest or 4th Street Southwest. Either way, it is a great spot. They'll have the Jays game on TV. During the Flame season, they have game day $7 pints of Molson Canadian. They've got Buck Hunter. They got all sorts of pinball and golden tea and darts. And it's a great spot no matter which one you go to, Stephen Ave or 4th Street Southwest. And so, yeah, make it your game day spot for whether it's for the last couple of days of the Flames season or for the baseball season going forward here. Kent, you're out in the satellite communities of Calgary. I forget which one you're in, but I can never remember. But what's your take on pinball?
I used to love pinball as a kid. Like,
Really?
yeah, there was pinball machines in. I think for lunch we would go to like convenience stores, and
Yeah.
yeah, there was. Started trying to get the high score
Oh,
pinball. They're super fun.
I am a huge pinball guy. There's a number of spots around the city that I'll go to. Metallica pinball is my all-time favorite. I am a killer at that game. Medieval Madness is an all-time pinball game for me. I am just killer. And I've been to the Unicorn on 4, and I've checked out the Unicorn on 8. I have not actually internalized their pinball assortment. So I need to
Get out there.
I need to make a mission of figuring out what my favorite unicorn pinball machine is. We'll sort that out in the next little while here. Kent, last couple games of the season here, Colorado and LA. Is there any particular player? Is there any particular part of the game that you want to see the Calgary Flames, sort of push forward on or elevate, or anything here that you want to see sort of stand out a little bit more over the last 120 minutes of gameplay?
Not really. Just keep doing what you're doing. I like that the team still isn't an easy out every night. And somehow they have the best record in the league when scoring 4 goals, and one of the better home teams. They're not embarrassing themselves night after night, which is good. The vibes seem to be good, despite the situation they're in. There's no obvious dysfunction like you see in like Vancouver and New York, who are frankly embarrassing this year and should be embarrassed by what they've been doing given their rosters. So yeah, just keep playing fundamentally sound hockey, get the kids in positions to see what they can do. It's nice to see Perek coming around for Stevich, as we talked about. Gridden has had a great 19-year-old season. Yeah, just finish it out as well as you can.
And hey, only 2 more games left at the Saddledome this season, 42 to come next year, and it's impossible to take it for granted. Kent, when was the last time you went to the Saddledome for a game?
It wasn't even a Flames game. It was Bedard when he was in junior.
Did you go to the Pats game that he came in for?
Wow. Yeah, I went in and it was a full house actually. So
yeah,
that's the last one.
Wow. Hey, it's Kent's got a standing invite to the Saddledome of Springbank or wherever it is you live. Though, so,
opposite, nowhere near.
Opposite side. See,
yeah.
I just can't. Here's the thing. I invited producer Yasmin to join me at the studio tonight because I had warmies. It's a Sunday, and so I was going to be here most of the evening. I had warmies. Watched the game. Then I was doing Afterburner. I ordered a pizza for the studio. Was just sitting eating some wings, and of course Kent's out in Carstairs or Claire's home or wherever he's at, and yeah, whatever. And Yasmin, producer Yasmin. I mean, just it kept me hanging, left me hanging.
Oh boy,
I'm all alone. I'm all just Yas. What big
I'm
plans
so
tonight?
Sorry.
Ugh.
Hey, I'm all the way out too. I have an hour drive in.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, where are you? Like Blackfalds? Like what's going on up
you
there?
You said the name, one of the names.
Did I?
Yeah.
Holy smokes! Yeah.
Nobody lives in Calgary anymore.
Yeah, we gotta hook up with the Unicorn and do a live show there sometime. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be good. Maybe for the draft.
We should do it. It'd be better than sitting here in the studio eating cold pizza from a place that's not the
for like 4 hours. That was that was a bit of a marathon.
Oh, dude, warmies and then the game and then the Afterburner. It's a long, a standing engagement here.
Well, I'm talking about the draft last year where they did
that
hideous TV stuff and just went on and on.
Well, the one, and you want to know something crazy, is the one rumor that I heard was that the NHL might consolidate day 1 as round 1 and 2. Can you imagine if they did the first 2 rounds on day 1? Oh,
that'd be awful.
8 hours of draft show. Oh,
Yeah.
who doesn't want that? So, yeah.
No, thanks.
No, thank you. That show would take a month, a truck month. It is truck month over at GMC. And if you've been waiting for the perfect time to upgrade your ride, this is it. The 2026 Sierra 1500 Pro Graphite Crew Cab is built to stand out and is now available at 0% financing for 72 months. It's got a 2-inch factory lift with off-road suspension, a powerful 5.3-liter V8 engine, and a commanding presence that demands attention. That part of the liner has always made me laugh because it feels like the sort of scouting report you'd see from like a 6'4" defenseman at the draft. He's got a commanding presence that demands attention and a 2-inch lift. he skates like he's got a 5.
I've seen some of those scout profiles. You're right.
5.3-liter V8 engine in this guy. But as opposed to actual, overrated draft prospects, the Sierra lives up to the hype. So hurry in to go see the Pro Graphite Crew Cab in person. Take advantage of truck month before it ends.
Well done.
Yaz, I think we got one more super chat. Let's see what we got. This from Maskman2929 $6.99. Do you see a better result from the Connie plan than what's come out of the Yzer plan? Wow. 10 years, no playoffs. Any of the talk of the Rucks within Flames management? I don't know about the second part. I don't think anybody does. They're keeping that pretty close to the vest. Yeah. I definitely do see a better result from the Connie plan than the Yzer plan. Holy smokes.
It's a bit of a train wreck at this point. Yeah. Then we were talking about it a bit in the community today, and there's two major missteps that the Red Wings have made during the Yzer plan here. It's one of them is just their drafting has not been great. They landed Raymond, which was good. Sider looks like he's going to be something for sure. And then a bunch of top 10 picks that have turned out to be not much at all. So that hurts a lot. But he also starts stuffing his team with like below average veterans. And they really harm the current edition trying to get into the playoffs. Like, if you look at the guys he's been adding, a lot of them are the bottom half of that team in terms of results, underlying numbers. I mean, you add veterans during this portion of a rebuild because you're trying to get into contention mode, and they should be, infrastructure, like supporting, but they're dragging most of their kids down, which is just a disaster, right?
I mean, I look at the Red Wings team that Yzerman inherited, and their top two scorers were a 22-year-old Dylan Larkin and a 24-year-old Andreas Athanasiou, a 29-year-old Gustav Nyquist, who they traded that year, I think, to San Jose. They had Anthony Mantha, who was only 23 at the time. They had Tyler Bertuzzi, who was only 23 at the time.
That's right.
They had Thomas Vanek in the last year of his career, Franz Nielsen at the very end of his career, Nick Kronwall at the end of his career. But they had pieces. They had Philip Hronek. They had Rasmussen, who they had just drafted. They had Nick Jensen, who they traded away that year. But they'd had some pieces. And I think if you look at it, from then until today, obviously they draft Sider, they draft Raymond. Great. But on the pro scout side, I think the pieces that they have added have been worse than the pieces they've subtracted. I mean, I would rather have Mantha and Bertuzzi than a lot of the guys they have right now.
Wallman.
Jake Wallman, they gave him away with a second-round pick. So
for no reason.
They traded Philip Hronek, and they have added Justin Falk and a bunch of
this year.
A bunch of nonsense. And so I see a lot of just wheel spinning for this Red Wings team. I am also of the belief that Dylan Larkin is not a true number one center for the Red Wings as they try to make a go for it.
Great year, and he's 29 now. Unfortunately, they've kind of wasted his entire prime.
Yeah, and so I would if I was the Red Wings, I mean, let me put it this way: if I'm another team and I am already sort of in the playoffs, looking to build my team up a little bit better, looking to strengthen the existing core that I have, I would love Dylan Larkin as, say, if I was Carolina, to platoon with Sebastian Aho. Or if I'm Buffalo, to have as my number 2 behind Tage Thompson, or even have him as my number 1 and Tage as my number 2. But when you're in the Red Wings situation, you have that 1A or the 1B, but you don't have anybody else. And the other guys you've drafted are the Nate Danielsons and the Marco Kaspers and the Michael Brandsteg-Nygaards, who are all sort
Zadina,
of,
yeah.
all sort of the same flavors of ice cream. It's tough. And I just don't see an avenue for that team to get demonstrably better than what it already is. And I've felt that way for a few years now, where it feels like they've already peaked, and yet they have not made the playoffs in 10 years. And that's a bad combination. It really reminds me of where the Buffalo Sabres were 5 years ago, and it has taken them another 5 years to make it.
And a lot of high picks in that span, right? And they have some good players at the top. Alex DeBrincat is still a really good player. Lucas Raymond is a legit star, I would say. Sider's becoming a legit star as well, maybe a Norris candidate. But after that, the drop off is, you got Larkin and then big drop off.
Yeah.
Edmondson might be something. Yeah, I think he'll be a top 4 defenseman moving forward. That's fine.
They're like the Seattle Kraken with a better top end, really. And
Slightly better,
yeah, that's the way that it feels to me. I mean, I'd rather have Lucas Raymond than Matty Beniers, and I'd rather have Moritz Seider than Vince Dunn. Those gaps are pretty big. The rest of the roster to me feels pretty darn equivalent. I mean, it's tough. I don't know, but Detroit, another year outside the playoff picture, and hopefully the Calgary Flames aren't out of it for 10 years. Again, tonight I've seen a fair bit of folks saying, "Oh, the Flames back into the mushy middle. They're not going to get anybody good out of this draft, and it is what it is."
They're still pretty bad.
They're still pretty bad. And if you look at it, the Red Wings, their failings were the way that they drafted at 9-10, and the fact that they drafted that low. When you were in that top 5 range, you generally have the ability to do pretty well. That's where they got Raymond and Seider, was at 4 and 6. And the issue with Detroit, in my opinion, is the fact that they didn't stay in that range long enough.
That's right.
In that 4 to 6 range, and where you can still, in theory, win the lottery. Even if you don't, you still will get somebody pretty good. And I do think the Flames are in a position in the next couple of years to keep being in that top 5 position. I don't think this is going to be a team that immediately rebounds next year, like we've seen from the Red Wings a little bit in the past.
I also get the sense they didn't draft enough, right? You want to draft early and you want to draft often. And the Flames have really amassed a lot of draft capital over the next couple of years here.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of quality over quantity, or pardon me, quantity over quality, too. I mean, 2023 is a good one. It's sort of similar to what the Flames are looking at this coming year in the draft, but instead of having their top pick be maybe at 4 or 5, they didn't pick until 9. And by the time that the Red Wings got Nate Danielson at 9, well, they'd already missed out on Bedard, Carlson, Fantilli, Smith, Michkov, and Ryan Leonard. They got the 7th forward off the board. And so at that point, it's a crapshoot.
And honestly, Nate Danielson was drafted early
too
at
high.
9, too.
Too high, yeah. But still. And that year, they also made 3 second-round picks. So, could you have traded up, right? And 2 of those second-round picks were Andrew Gibson and Brady Cleveland. So it's I think there's a lot of compounding issues in Detroit, and I think with the Flames, they have what it takes to avoid some of those issues. And I also think, I mean, I've said it on previous shows, I think they have already made a lot out of their lower first-round picks, to the point where I have made the point. I think Matt Vigridden and Cole Reshny are both top 10 caliber prospects who in a lot of years would have gone with a top 10 pick, and the Flames get them at 18 and 29. So got to feel pretty good about that.
Yep. Parak, as he starts to come around.
Oh, man.
I mean, and Brestevich, landing him as a piece. That's a nice start to the rebuild. They still need, the superstar level forward at some point, but they've amassed a nice sort of supporting cast already, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. We'll have a look at a couple of our Bet365 bets for tomorrow, and then we'll wrap this thing up. A couple of big games in the NHL tomorrow as it pertains to the Calgary Flames. One of them is the Rangers against the Florida Panthers, and I think Yasmin has got this one all queued up. Rangers, of course, they are now tied with the Flames in the NHL standings. This one is even money. The Rangers 5-5-0 in their last 10. The Panthers 3-6-1. Money at -110 for both teams. The over-under set at 6. The spread at plus or minus 1.5. If the Rangers can get at least a point out of this game, Kent, it starts to look a lot clearer for the Flames, at least as far as maybe getting a top 3 pick.
That's right. It's fingers crossed. We'll see.
Fingers crossed indeed. Another big one on for the Flames tomorrow, Winnipeg against Vegas. And again, the Flames really want Vegas to lose this game. And they are going up against the Jets team that is 7-3-0 in their last 10, that is technically still alive in the playoff race. Maybe not for much longer, but they are technically still alive. They've got 3 games left, and they are 6 points out of a spot. So, Jets are going to be playing for their lives tomorrow. The Knights are favorite at -190. They won yesterday, but go Jets.
Yeah, come on, Winnipeg. Do something useful for a change.
Do something useful for a change. You're Winnipeg. It's a good city, good fans. I like the arena. Come on, Winnipeg. Do something for us. Fans, that is brought to you by Bet365. If you're tired of waiting for the game or tired of waiting for the end of the game to get paid, that's why Bet365, an official partner of the NHL, has 3-goal early payout. If the team you're riding goes up 3 goals at any point in the game, they'll pay your bet out early. Hockey moves fast, and now with 3-goal early payout, there's one less thing you have to wait around for. Bet365. Download the app and see what early payout's all about. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. I think we've gotten through all of the super chats, some good stuff, engagement in the chat this evening. Look at this, a Mike Gould Afterburner show that will come in at less than an hour. That is a
rare gem,
a rare treat. Kent, any last thoughts, or do you just want to get out of here?
I think we covered everything.
I think we did.
Yeah.
Folks, that is Kent Wilson, the godfather of Flames Nation, editor emeritus, as it were. My name is Mike Gould. I am a young buck in comparison to Kent, who admitted during the game that he was old enough to watch My Cousin Vinny in theaters on its initial release.
I admitted that I was old enough to watch E.T. and Ghostbusters in the theaters. So.
Well, I mean, that's even worse. Kent is Kent Wilson is so old that he remembers probably when what is it? Probably remembers when Bankers Hall had a movie theater.
Oh yeah.
He with authority. And now Calgary has no downtown movie theaters. Rip Eau Claire. That is our friend Kent Wilson. My name is Mike Gould. Producer Yasmin probably has no idea what Bankers Hall movie theater even means, but we thank her for staying up with us on this Sunday night. And to everybody in the chat tuning in, it's been a lot of fun. Only 2 more of these left this season, and good news for you folks, I'll be on both of them. So hope you enjoy those. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. Thank you to all of our sponsors at Bet365, the Youth Centers of Calgary, the Prairie Toyota Dealers, Derek Newman Group, the Unicorn on 8th Ave or 4th Street, and GMC, where it is Truck Month. So long, everybody. Thank you for watching. This has been another edition of The Afterburner.